Thank you for joining us for a second segment. And in this segment, we're about to have a very interesting conversation with these beautiful ladies who will be talking to us about professional etiquette. And we have with us on set, we have Vanessa Johnston, who's the Training and Recruitment Officer. We also have Angelita Staine, who's a training facilitator. And we have Manager of Member Relations of the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mrs. Cathouse. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us this morning.
Well, thank you for coming in and really giving us a preview, because this is actually a workshop that will take place, or a training that will take place that people can sign up to participate in.
Yes.
And I want to find out, Yorshabel, just why this was identified, I'm assuming by your membership, as a priority.
Yes. So the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry takes it very serious to organize trainings, capacitate our members, just as how serious we do the lobbying and advocacy work, and even organizing expos to connect our members. So capacitate is very important to us, as I mentioned, and for us, it builds that relationship between employer and employees. This topic is our first training for the year. We do have a training calendar that we organize within the year. We have a partnership with two special institutions that do trainings. One is the University of the West Indies. We've had a partnership for 9 or so years. And also we have BTEC, about 5 years, the Belize Training
An Employment Center.
Employment Center. So this one will be done by BTEC. And why this training was chosen, because businesses, many of them would agree with me that they're having challenges. Not only businesses, organizations, and also even in the government offices. And I won't go into all the details of the topic, because that's why my friends will explain, but professional etiquette is more than just the dress. And I think that many people think that it's just the dress. It goes far more, and I've seen it as a manager that I don't think the school indulge a lot into it. And so when the employees step into the real world, it's really challenging, and it can deteriorate your workplace, your ethics, and affect your profit at the end of the day.
Let me just ask a question here. We've all been in businesses where I think we've all said to ourselves, how unprofessional, for many different reasons. Isn't it the responsibility of the company's human resource to ensure that there is a level of professional etiquette within the workplace? In other words, isn't it a company standard more so than an employee standard?
I think for most businesses that should be the case, but training is hard to come by for some people, and a lot of companies may be profit driven. I think now we're shifting the reality to understanding that customer service and professionalism are our cores of that professionalism or that profitability. So for us, it's understanding that a lack of professionalism can be damaging to somebody's career advancements or even them maintaining a job. So we've partnered with the BCCI, and BTEC understands that it is an essential interpersonal skill, right? And before being able to tap into the organizations, which we also do, we go into companies or we work with companies. With BCCI, we're trying to do it on that individual level for those people that do want on their own accord to say, I need, added skills in this, or companies to send their employees. So we're hoping they do just that in hearing what you said and understanding that, I need to send some of my people and take advantage.
Can you talk about the timing of this? First of all, I think it's a wonderful initiative because I, as a customer and client, I surely benefit a lot when this works properly. It's a completely different experience, particularly when you're working hard and you go to an institution and you expect a certain level of service. But can you talk to us about the time of it? January is Marga season. It's a season that traditionally is very slow for businesses. When two things, you're trying not to expend resources because you're trying to make it to when people fall in love in February. And also it's a time when you're really trying to cut back on a lot of the things that you're cutting back on, spending money, and sometimes the service suffers from it. Was there something strategic about having this kind of training in January? At that time, it's actually probably the opposite of what is going on out there in the work and business force.
For us as businesses, it's a new year, and you want to start the new year on the right foot. So you don't want to get into the minds of your employees, middle down the road. So that's why we chose January, so that and also businesses, it's a new year for them, their budget, and this is an investment. It's not more so a cost. At the end of the day, you would benefit. You're saving for your company in the longer run, and this training, it's to help the individual, because at the end of the day, it starts at the individual. You have to take responsibility, and your responsibility can rub off on your colleagues and makes the whole workplace a better place.
Now, I love what you spoke about, that for the employee, it is professional development. It is bettering yourself to be promoted, to be recognized as a good worker. From the employer standpoint, do they build a connection? Do they understand that if you have employees that offer good service, that are professional in the workplace, that it can actually drive up their bottom line? Because when I go to a business and if I get great service, you probably can convince me to spend a bit more. But if it's terrible, I'm out of there as fast as I can.
And you would tell others not to
And
come
I will
back.
tell everybody else, don't go there.
I'm reflecting on one of Richard Branson, who was here just a while ago's quote, in which he said, we can invest in our employees. What an expense. But think about the expense we could incur if we don't. And we give that poor service and we project that poor image, unprofessional image. So, and taking it back to what we would want to cover when we do this training in specific, we kind of broke it down for us into the ABCs of professionalism.
Okay.
Like Yorshabel mentioned, first, we usually think about appearance. That's a A, that's yes. We want to think about that first impression, making that positive first impression, but also the adherence to company policies. To even, we touch on universal norms of the office, right? And ultimately attendance. Something as simple as that, and how it could deter you from, providing that exceptional experience to the customer, to the organization. So that covers our A's. B's, Angie?
So we also talk about your code of conduct within the workplace and how you can improve upon your self-discipline within the workspace so that you can maximize your efficiency. Because a lot of people when we first start working, we do everything exceptionally. We put forward our best appearance, our best behavior.
It's like courting in a relationship,
yes,
right?
You're trying to impress. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to impress people. But as time goes by, we tend to be more complacent, and we let things slip. So this training is just pretty much trying to maximize on our self-discipline and learning how to be more efficient in the workplace. And that's the second module that we'll be going through, which is your code of conduct. Then we also go through our communication module, which is pretty much talking about how we can improve our communication, because that's one of the skills that employers look for the most. Your communication skills, and just how you can improve upon it in the email, face-to-face, telephone etiquette, how you can improve upon it just so that there is a flow, a cohesion within the organization. So not only does the employees, but the organization has a reputation of professionalism.
What would you say is your angle? Just this one more. Because I find this a very fascinating topic, and there's one thing I've always found to be a bit of a mismatch here in Belize. We have a very British culture, which is very formal, and we'll see it in some emails. It's very extended and lots of explanation and very, that's what some, and especially depending on a generation, that's what some people expect. But we also have a lot of US companies here as well, who are all about, don't waste my time, get to the point. Don't tell me in 5 paragraphs what you can tell me in 2. How do you approach professional etiquette, understanding that we have this bit of schizophrenia just here within our society?
Yeah, and it's uncovering those, but also moving towards what is more standard now.
Okay.
Right, and that's I'm going to give you a kiss, Marlene, right? We want to keep it short and sweet or just simple, moving towards that direction, but understanding that you have to also understand your audience, right? And that other person, and adapt accordingly for you to be able to, you know, benefit the most.
There's a practical reality, and I know that there are places where business etiquette is needed, and my mind goes to the tourism sector, more so than just the call centers and others. I think that that area is a particular area where you have to put out. But I also think about local businesses and local experiences, because we have 375,000 people in this country who deserve good customer service, good professional work ethic. But that's not our culture on the mean. Our culture of experience, which some might not want to admit, is with our Chinese grocers that we walk in and we say, Chinese boy, I want this. And Chinese boy who's dressed in his slippers goes to the back, dusts off the stuff and puts it through the window, no thanks, no nothing. Or Chinese restaurants where we go through, or where we buy from the merchants on Albert Street. In terms of a cultural shift, so that not only these specific specialized areas benefits from that, but the general Belize benefit from it, how do we get other businesses, not necessarily just the tourist businesses, to jump into a program like this so that all of Belize enjoys what good customer service is?
Well, the training is not only offered to members of the chamber, we open it out to everyone. Also, we have some contacts from the government. They also send, you know, their people. And small businesses, they are part of our membership, they send people. But considering getting out farther, if you want this course for only a group of people, you can always feel free to contact us and we organize it for you. Actually, we have a company right now asking for it to be organized for only, and then it can be tailored to their sector and what they do, rather than just this generic.
So let's get into some tips. Let's get into some of the things that you see happening. And you know, I hear what Kevin is saying. Obviously, someone in the tourism industry will probably have more of an emphasis on this than other businesses. But I guarantee you, if I call your law office and I don't get good customer service, I'm probably moving back on to somebody else. So while we may neglect what it has to do with our individual business, from your frontline person, it makes a difference. So what are some of the things that we're seeing or that you know takes place that we can start to perhaps change just individually for somebody who can't make it to the workshop?
Okay, so we're intersecting customer service with professionalism, but we want to make the distinct, you know, characteristics or classifications, because ultimately being a professional isn't a label you just want to slap on. Anybody could do that, but it's something you hope, or a way in which you hope somebody else will describe you. Marlene is a professional, right? So we want to say some applicable tips is, you know, professionalism goes with you everywhere you go. Whichever industry, right? It crosses those boundaries, and it's understanding that, you know, it's something you need to hone as individuals, as kids within, you know, in Belize, we're so much more of a courteous and friendly, what do I want to say? People in general. So that's the first tip, is understanding the humility in being a professional, that I am no better than you, and vice versa. So I think that's one tip we want to share when it comes to being a professional.
Some other things which is like the classic, I would say your appearance, because it starts off with your appearance, and first impressions do count, but also going into with the office etiquette, the office protocols that you have to follow in being a professional. I would definitely say attendance, like Vanessa had mentioned.
Don't be the person that everybody expects to call in sick on Monday.
Exactly, right? So, but some people don't know that. They don't know, and we're here to shed light on that. Also about having general respect for people within the workplace, and also knowing for communication, because I cover that module, just knowing that communication is not necessarily all about what you say. It's so much more. It's more about your body language, your tone of voice, and just by changing those things, you can get the results that you want at the end of the day.
With respect, eliminating this Belizean time. As Belizean as you could get, but nope, that is just wrong.
It's disrespectful.
Right.
There's also, before we move on, there's also another attitude, because maybe you earn it's not you earn, but you have if you're sick, you have that 16 days within the year that you can take, and some employees just take it with the attitude that I've earned it. So I schedule my year that this time, I would take my days naturally.
I'm glad Yorshabel shed light on that, because we do bring in some of the labor laws of Belize too. So the established principles are there on what you can and can't do.
Yeah. And there's one more that I notice happens, and it's the taking care of your workplace, your office space, the resources, the equipments. I mean, are we efficient with the paper, the ink, with the tools that we use, the computer? How often we have to replace them? Do we take it for granted?
No. There is a component of professionalism that has a cost element to it. Because whether or not it's the electricity to iron your shirt properly, or it's simply to pay the taxi if you're going to be 3 minutes late as opposed to catching the dollar van to get there. So there's a portion there, but there's also a portion which doesn't cost anything. If I could give you my experience, I mean, I've been to establishments that have been completely unprofessional, but the person attending to me was supremely professional. And even when I see them outside of that workplace, I look at them and say, you know what, I remember you. You were at this restaurant where the food was horrible, the service was horrible, but you were awesome. Yeah. Could you talk about, in terms of what it means for you as a person, and probably even the next job? So don't even think that, okay, because I'm only getting $2 here, and the boss can go on simple, and I want to resign directly, that you shouldn't take the responsibility of carrying yourself with that badge.
That's where professionalism starts. For you as a person, your name, you want to have a good name. As you mentioned, wherever you go, you see you on the street, you have a good name, and a good name can also reflect good on who you work for, even though sometimes you don't get the best service. It goes far with a good name.
I want to ask how you tackle things like distractions. I've been seeing some of the videos as they air, and and the difference that technology makes now in having your cell phone. Everybody has data now, so even if your office didn't have Wi-Fi, you still are getting all your notifications. I have a computer, I can be on Facebook the entire time. I'm working on my document as well. How do you talk to people about that? Where do you draw the line between using your own personal time and getting the work done?
Definitely a topic we touch on, the misuse of technology. And like I said, we will go through some of the norms, but also it has to do with the work culture. Because in some environments, with some work cultures, with millennials, that's the way they communicate. That's some ways companies do their business, right? While on the other hand, we will have those more, the older establishments that are more, traditional. So it's a balance of both, but ultimately as a person, just having that self-discipline to know right from wrong.
How do you avoid workplace tension? Because at the workplace, you have personalities. Somebody just that tells for their personality to be contentious. How do you deal with that? That it does not affect your professionalism?
But remember I said, one of the skills that employees definitely look for is your communication skills, your conflict management skills. And we kind of tap in on that. You want to be assertive. We talk about the APA styles of communication. And whenever you have aggressive, passive, and assertive, and obviously I won't say obviously because some people don't know, right? You want to gear more towards being more assertive in your communication. Remember, I mentioned that in communication, it's not only the words. 7%, that's all people listen to, is 7% of your words. 35% is your tone of voice, and then your body language is what people mostly look at. So you could be saying the sweetest things, but if your body language doesn't match with those sweet words that you're saying, then it can be a problem, right? So you need to match your body language with your tone of voice, with your words, so that you can effectively communicate in an assertive way, so that there's no problems within the workplace.
But I've always found, this is perhaps, and maybe just my schooling was different. We were always told, you check your baggage at the door when you get to work. Whatever, you may be in the midst of a terrible breakup. Your child maybe was kicked out of school. You just, whatever. But, I've seen many situations where people walk in and that's all, you don't even get a hello or good morning.
But that's what we do, right? That's what we're bringing this to the forefront, because some people just don't know. They don't have that that lesson on professional etiquette. We know it. We know that that's what you're supposed to do. You put your baggage at when you come in, you leave your baggage at the door, and you then become a professional. A professional. You then become a professional, but some people don't know that. So like it goes all back to capacity building and getting people aware of how you're supposed to be when you're within the workplace.
How much of this falls on the employer to make sure that they give the proper parameters? And this is what happens when somebody's food isn't done properly. This is what you tell somebody who asks for something that's not on the menu, or this is how you deal with somebody
or when you ignore a call
who is rude. How much is it on the employer to make sure that these rules, these etiquette rules, that their employee knows what it is?
A very great deal, because that's why for any new hire, you should have an onboarding session where you go through those rules and those expectations. Obviously, we won't be able to do that because it will be different individuals from different companies, but we will go through, the universal norms that they should abide by. So the onus on the employer is great, right? But also too on the employee. So we want to know that, that merger, is complete, and if they need this training, that's a good way to start, to understand, the basics and the overall what it is to be a professional.
I wanted to follow up with the social media question, because this is also one I see. How about the employees who kind of blast people on their
and we have
online, or blast the job, or blast just many things. But I hate being at work. This place is so terrible. Didn't feel like coming in today. Whatever it is, and sometimes it gets a lot more descriptive than that.
We do touch on the online etiquette of it, and now with social media, you need to think before you speak. You need to think 3 times before you post anything on social media, right? So we do cover that and what it is, the pros and the cons and the ramifications of any social media post.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something we touch on. And in being a professional, to being that ideal team player, right? Not just for yourself, but for the organization and everybody else in your team.
What else can we all collectively work on? Let's keep it general, right? Things that we see that perhaps people can work on to just be a bit more professional.
For me, I would say when you first start working, you're on time every single time. So I would say just your attendance just on the surface, but what I would say really and truly, communication skills within the organization, just so that you can have more cohesiveness within the organization. Once you have great internal customer service, you get along with your coworkers, then that boosts your bottom line for the entire organization.
And I'd say as an individual, you are a brand ambassador for that company, always trying to put your best foot forward. But even if that's not the case, you're branding yourself, right? How do you want people to know you, to remember you? What legacy do you want to leave? And hopefully it's a professional one.
What's the format of the event? Who's presenting of the training? Who's presenting, and how does it work? What can I expect if I attend?
Well, we've partnered with the BCCI, so anybody that's interested would first and foremost go through them. Our trainings are held at BCCI, and it's from 8:30 to 4:30, so it's a full day session. And it's myself, Angie, we have another trainer, Marcelli. It's 3 of us that tag team the entire day. And in true BTEC fashion, I think that's why we've gotten a lot of people, that enjoy our training. It's informational, yes, but moments of levity are surely there, especially with adult learners, and mixing up the information with fun, and it just being an enjoyable day at the end.
Okay, so how do people sign up for the training, and what's the cost?
So the training is this Thursday, as Vanessa mentioned, 8:30 to 4:30. There is a cost, $200, GST included. If you want to sign up, you call us 223-5330 or email us bcci@belize.org, and we still have spaces available. It's very important if you're not able to send your employees, maybe the manager, supervisor, even HR, because it's not only the employee's responsibility but also the employers. And on the longer run, it's the employers because it's your workplace, it's your best interest. And whatever you hand down, it's what represents the company or the business.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in and just giving us a preview of what people can expect.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us again.
We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking about the upcoming super sale here in Belize City. So stay tuned.